here's what's coming up next on the Create Happy Now podcast with the return of one of my VIP guests, Katia Rudnick, owner and designer of Katia Designs. Katia designs inspirational custom jewelry to help you with your journey. Today, Katia and I discuss how being in alignment helps you discover your passion and how to kick the funk to the curb while we learn to navigate COVID-19. Welcome to the Create Happy Now podcast, dedicated to helping you start your journey to discover true happiness. Join me, your host, Susan Blanton, weekly as we explore the transformation stories and words of wisdom from our masters of happiness with tips you can start applying today to create happy now. I have Katia Rudnick back on the show. She is a spiritual designer, and you can always see it in her jewelry. Growing up in Soviet Russia, she was always drawn to the magic world of art and design. Her jewelry speaks to your heart and enhances your day. Well, it certainly did me, Katia. I'm wearing your jewelry in my podcast photo, and those words held me accountable. It says, she believed she could, and on the other side, it said, and so she did. And my bracelet just says words now, and it's part of the title of my podcast. So, Katia, your jewelry has been instrumental for me in so many ways. Thank you so much for coming to the show. Tell us more about you and how you were inspired to start Katia Designs and your journey story that really is fascinating.
Well, again, thank you for having me on your show. I'm super excited. Thank you for liking my work. It really touches me deeply that you have connected to it and you love it, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be. Thank you so much. You know what? As you mentioned, I am originally from Russia. I immigrated to the United States 30 years ago. It's been quite a journey. I am married. I got 3 beautiful daughters. And, I've always have been creative, artistic. I always wanted to do something with my hands. However, I couldn't really find my true passion until not that long ago. Katia Designs was actually born during a yoga class, believe it or not.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, I'll tell you the story. I love yoga. I'm a CrossFit lover and then a yoga. So I have those two extremes. Yoga has always been a place for me where I go for my physical healing, but also even more so for my spiritual and mental one. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, right?
Hot yoga and fell in love with it.
Yeah, it's magic. I have gotten inspired so many times. Actually, a long time I would come to my yoga class and it would be, I would just get lost in myself, and I was really getting deeper and deeper, searching for my higher self and listening to that inner voice. And then this one time, I was in the front of the class. I always had this little same spot. And when I was an upside down dog, this woman behind me, I could actually see her between my arms, and she was wearing the coolest bracelet that caught my eye. Okay. And I was staring at in between my legs, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. And, and honestly, I was never really into jewelry before. But somehow that bracelet was just staring at me. So after the end of the class, I came up to her, I introduced myself, and I said, I am really in love with your bracelet. I don't know what it is about it, but it just caught my eye. Where did you get it? What is this? Because it was really unusual looking. It was kind of like this really large medallion, simple, that was on her wrist with a little leather bracelet. And she gave me a name of the designer. Right after the class, I looked it up. I couldn't really find it. It must have been an older piece. While I was still in my yoga clothes, soaking wet, I went on Google and I'm like, how can I make this for myself? That's where my head went.
Yeah.
So I went on Google and I looked for local jewelry classes. There was one 10 minutes from my house that I never even considered or thought about.
Wow.
I saw it and I went home, I changed, and I drove there right away. And I walked in, and it was like Wizard of Oz, you know, when you go from black and white to color, because it was like,
That's
you know,
funny.
it's crazy. I walk into
Totally
this
what you're talking
space,
about.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like that, it just felt right. It
Yes.
just felt so good, you know, like all this just creative space. I just felt like I belonged, you know.
Yeah.
And it was different. Obviously, it was sculptures and painting and drawing and all sorts of stuff. But when I walked into that room and the teacher showed me this new medium that she was working with, I've never even heard of it. It's called metal clay.
Okay.
And what it is, it's metal that comes in a clay form that you can, it's almost like sculpting. It's almost like Play-Doh that you form into whatever that you want. And then when you put it in a kiln and it goes on, 1500 degrees temperature, depending on what metal you work with, it could be, 5 to 10 hours in the kiln, it turns into solid metal.
Wow.
And then you take it out and then you polish it. There's different finishes. I like to put patina on it, make it look, old and aged. And then you tumble it. I mean, there's many, many steps to this process. But when I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, it was like that. I mean, that from that moment on, it was like, I could not stop thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Obsession.
I was obsession, and it was everything that started just to download.
Yes.
To me. I mean,
Yes.
I had my name for my company, my logo, my concept, I think the first week, sort of getting infected by this, in a good way.
Yeah.
I could not stop thinking about it. And the process of not stopping thinking about it is continuous to this day, and I don't know if this is a product. Is it because I truly found my calling, or is it because I created this sort of like excitement myself, or is it because it's something that is deeply emotional with what I put into it? It could be a combination of all of those things,
Well, it sounds to me like, when you were going to yoga and things like that, you were trying to, work on getting in your alignment, right? And
Yeah.
I think when you tap into that, sometimes it's on purpose, sometimes it's accidental, sometimes it's a little bit of both. And then it shows you that opportunity. It's like you'll get a glimpse of something or an aha moment, and then things, you're just like you're like on an engine that is propelled without effort. Like it wasn't work for you to go looking for what you were looking for. You just kept, I've got to figure out all about this bracelet, right?
Yeah.
And then it just led from one thing to the other because of your compassionate action. And
it led one thing to another. But I got to tell you also, the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, that my inner searching for the personal growth was happening at the same time. Yeah. I was taking the lessons from that and applying it to this, because I could find the connection where I lacked in the past, with my, for example, procrastination, my lack of maybe not being confident enough and wanting to make it just right, slight obsession with what other people think, but here I knew that now I had the tools to use this inspiration and this idea and not to fall a victim for those bad old habits, beliefs, because guess what? Oh my God, how, if you think about it, this can happen like so much throughout our lives each day, that something, that goes by, and you can take it and you can make it into this, whatever it is that you envision, or you could be like, oh, you know what, this would be like, it would be too hard, or people are gonna laugh at me, or but I'm just not smart enough, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not, I'm not gonna be as good as that. Like there's just so many bad thoughts
Oh yeah.
that can stop you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and here, and that's why it went hand in hand, where I said, you know what, and obviously, when I look at my Instagram of where my posts from the beginning,
Yeah.
right now, it puts a smile on my face because I'm not critical of it, but oh my god, what my work looked like back then and what
Yeah.
it looks like right now are night and day. But there's no way of getting to where I am today without going through that journey, and I'm pretty sure, because it's been ongoing processes, that a month from today I'm gonna look back again, to today, and I'm gonna see the improvement in one thing or another.
Exactly.
you know
Exactly. It's the fun of just exploring and learning and creating and improving and not beating yourself up about where you are now.
yeah, totally, it's the journey, and allowing yourself to have fun and not to worry about stuff that is really not going to serve you.
So, we've been going through this pandemic, and a lot of people are struggling and kind of going through this funk. What have you done to kind of help yourself not get dragged down by that?
Uh, you know, Consistency number one. So I continued posting, creating, and posting. That's really what happened. Was I could not do my events, which
Yeah.
was the way I ran my business. I would have, 4 to 5 events a week,
Wow.
uh, going all in my, most of my events were in somewhat South Florida and nearby areas, but I have traveled
Yes.
to other states.
We're in Sedona together.
That's right. We're Sedona together. That's right. So that was amazing. But here I am, all of a sudden, realizing that I had to evaluate the situation. Number one, continued with creating and posting, and used my social media platform as my way to connect to my followers, to my clients. And so what happened was, it has adjusted, but it took on a different version
Mm-hmm.
of the same business, but here we went virtual. So before, when you would come up to my table and we would create a piece, because you would just be like, oh, I like this stone or this pendant or this necklace, and I would put it together for you. Here I would send you pictures back and forth, putting a necklace with maybe 10 stones for the choice, and you'd say, oh, can I see it with this? And I would put it together, and then you'd be like, yes, I love it, but can you put this one? And then few back and forth pictures, and we would achieve the same goal. So consistently continuing with your work. If you need to adjust, then you do so.
Don't just
Because
throw your hands in the air.
yeah, because imagine if I would stop, or if I wouldn't be as consistent, that would definitely make a difference, and so visibility is critical. You got to be out there.
Right.
You never know who's watching. You never know who is going to click on that today and see the message that they might need to see today. Or maybe it's someone who was looking for a gift for their cousin, or it could be a gift for their girlfriends. I mean, and then they see something and they get inspired. So being out there, being visible and available is super important.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and then people who are visiting it can share it. Say, oh my gosh, I know so and so would love this, and then
yeah,
and so on. It's definitely spread, but you can also look for opportunity rather than discouraged by what's going on. Just like, well, how can I make lemons out of lemonade on this? You either can wallow in defeat or or you can go, what else is there? There's got to be more. There is opportunity. There is always opportunity.
I agree. I agree. It's actually something that I come back to constantly. It's how you look at things. The way you see the world is the way you see a situation, the way you project it, your sort of energetic vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes deeper. It's how you feel about it, because if you are pessimistic and negative, and if you are in fear, you project that.
Yes. And you're going to attract more of that too.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have to be very conscious of what you're attracting.
And how you talk to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that.
If all you do is just treat yourself better, you're going to see so much more improvement in your life. If you just be your own best friend and just watch what you say to yourself, that internal thought, right?
It's everything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's everything. If you pay attention to your thoughts, to your beliefs, if you are conscious and aware of what is going through, and then you actually make a choice, who do you want to be? What do you want to think? Mm-hmm. What thoughts serve you and which ones do not?
Exactly.
Because there's a lot going on. And also, in the times like right now, it's really easy to fall for fear.
So what are some of do you have like a favorite quote or anything that you kind of live by?
I have many, because I get inspired by them often.
You got lots on your jewelry.
Yeah, a lot of them is in my jewelry. But I would say my favorite one is by Wayne Dyer, and it says,
"Love Wayne Dyer."
Isn't he just like, I mean, I listen. When I create my jewelry, one of my favorite things to do is have my headphones on, and I either listen to audiobooks, podcasts such as yours, or YouTube channel, because there's just so much information. Yeah. But the quotas change the way you look at things, mm-hmm. and the way you look at things change.
Oh my goodness!
And yes. It's everything. It's everything, because you know what? It could be applied to anywhere in your life. You can look at exactly the same situation where you are today, and you can find the flaws, and you can find what you don't like, and you can find the negativity in it, or you can find the most beautiful, blessed moments. Magical moments. It's all how you want to look at things.
Yes.
Everything is, all the answers are in you.
Right. What you seek, you will find, really, no matter if it's negative or positive.
That's absolutely, it's what you're projecting.
So tell me, what are some of the major things that you saw change? What was the contrast in your life that from what you are now to like what you were back then, before you were starting to seek yoga and alignment and
yeah
as
I mentioned earlier, the most valuable real lesson from all this I took is becoming more aware. Because if you're not aware of what's going on in your head, then you're just reacting to life, and you're doing the same thing over and over.
Did you feel like that's what you were doing?
Yeah, totally. And and a lot of it obviously comes from our childhood, mm-hmm. from the patterns that have been adopted from earlier, from the traumas that we have experienced. And then we would just like, react on and on and on, without really questioning or realizing where did it come from, mm-hmm. and is it serving me? And when you do start paying attention to that, then you're like, wait a second, I'm thinking this right now, but is it really true? Yeah. Or is it just my mind playing this whole old routine? Wait a second. No, it's not true. It's not. I choose not to believe it. And I choose to act what I want according to the woman who I want to be, you know? And this takes awareness. You cannot do this without being aware of what's happening.
Otherwise, you're on automatic pilot, right?
Absolutely. And by the way, you can develop an automatic pilot moving, you know, forward, sort of, you know, as you develop new habits and new thoughts, new thought process that is serving you. But until you get there, you really need to pay attention.
Reprogram.
That's reprogram, baby. That's it.
So tell us, Katia, how can the listeners find you and your jewelry? And do you have a special going on?
Yes. The best way to find me is to go through social media. Please go to Instagram at Katia Designs, and that's Katia Designs. Or you can go to Facebook at Katia Designs Shop. I do have a website. It's katiadesigns.com. However, you will find so much more of my recent work on my social media. And the way to go about it is you go and you see what I do. And if you find something that smiles at you, when you find that piece that all of a sudden brings some type of an emotion in you, please screenshot it and message me. And when you do message me, mention this podcast and you will get 10% off plus free shipping. And we can customize something extremely special for you or for someone that you want to make a very special gift to. If you have any questions, message me. Whatever questions you have, I will answer it.
Oh, absolutely. It is so like, where else can you go to get custom jewelry that just is not just beautiful, but it speaks to you, and it's your secret almost, because if you have it on you and you know what it says and nobody else knows, it's powerful. And you had a story about a client that made a big decision when her jewelry arrived from you.
You know, I have so many stories like that, and every time I get a message, and it happens often, and I have chills right now as I'm mentioning, because every time it's super, super, super emotional, because connecting to women on this deep, intimate level is such a gift. But when these messages appear from out of nowhere in my mailbox and in my messages on my social media, women tell me how somehow in a special way that piece of jewelry affected their life through different either making a decision or reminding them of being someone that they're striving to be, or giving them strength, or helping them to go through some really tough emotional time in their life. I mean, so many different. It's really it's sort of a testimonial, but it comes to me without asking, you know.
Absolutely.
And it is. I am beyond grateful for that.
That's awesome. So before we go, can you give the listeners your happy hack that you use that maybe someone else can apply today to start their journey to create happy now?
Yes, you know, I have quite a few in my bag of goodies. I apply them as needed. All of us obviously go through ups and downs, and sometimes you have good days, sometimes you have bad days. Some of mine are, I would say, exercising has always been on the top of the list for me, because when I do work out, I somehow have automatically, I can see the difference, the way my day goes if I don't work out. So that's a major. Now, also when I feel a little bit funky, physiologically, I have to make a change. It could be going outside, nature, immediately. It just snaps me out of it, you know, just looking at the beautiful sky, trees, birds. It doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but just being outside. Smells, you know, it just brings you into now. Going for a walk, somehow it shifts you. Sometimes I get in my car and I open the windows and I blast the music
Oh,
to
yeah.
the top,
Oh, it's
you
one of my
know.
favorites.
Oh my God, put some badass Pink or Aerosmith and just go and let the air blow through your
Oh,
hair.
yes.
And that, you do that, and all of a sudden you forget,
You can't go wrong with that one for
your
sure.
kid, right? It's amazing. Now, also listening to my motivational, inspirational books, audiobooks, podcasts, and videos, incredible. I would say that just immediate shift also.
There's no end to all the different tips and tricks that you can do. You can try them all. I mean, try one, do something. And even if you did one a day, you're going to see a huge difference. So, well,
Absolutely.
thank you so much, Katia, for joining me. And again, you guys check out her Facebook page, Katia Designs Shop. So you can check out her jewelry there and leave her a message and a screenshot of what you'd like and mention the podcast, and you can get 10% off and free shipping. So you won't be disappointed. That is for sure. You're going to be actually, excuse me, amazed. So thank you again. And I would love to have you back on the show. Definitely.
Thank you so much. It was awesome.
Thanks for listening to episode 14 of the Create Happy Now podcast with Katia Rudnick. If you liked today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and review, and you can get a free meditation by yours truly by going to the link in the episode description as my thanks to you. On our next show, Vaughn Piero will be back. Vaughn is a healer and breathwork specialist. Vaughn and I will be talking about breathwork and how it can take you to the next level of happiness. Catch Create Happy Now on YouTube with podcast recordings and additional videos. Keep a lookout for Create Happy Now Facebook group, courses, books, and more. If you would like to stay on top of Create Happy Now creations, subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel so you can start your journey to Create Happy Now. You can also find Create Happy Now on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Podbean, Stitcher, Deezer, and iHeartRadio.